death of a man who literally changed the way we live our lives every day.
That's a good question.
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea. Probably I would just turn up the volume on it because the last few years have reminded me that life is fragile. So.
Steve Jobs didn't die because his cancer was unbeatable. He died, at least partly, because of a decision you and I could also make. And that's the terrifying part. In 2003, doctors found a tumor in his pancreas. Now, when most people hear pancreatic cancer, they think that death is an ultimate fate. And often they're right. The common type is brutally aggressive. But Steve Jobs had a rarer form of the disease, a pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor. A different beast. This type, if caught early, is often treatable. Not guaranteed, but treatable, especially with surgery. His doctors were clear. The recommendation was simple and brutal. We should operate soon. But Jobs hesitated. He reportedly said something along the lines of, "I didn't want my body to be opened. I didn't want to be violated that way." And that changed everything. For the next 9 months, he didn't go under the knife. Instead, he went elsewhere. He tried strict diets, raw food, veganism, juice fasts, acupuncture, herbal treatments, colon cleanses, unconventional healers. If it sounded natural, ancient, or holistic, it was on the table. He went for what I call magical thinking. The belief that if you just eat clean enough, meditate hard enough, find the right guru, maybe a malignant tumor somehow will probably politely disappear. Eventually, he changed his mind. He agreed to surgery. The tumor was removed. For a while, he seemed stable. He went back to Apple. He walked on stage. He introduced products that reshaped the entire industry. But cancer doesn't care about your keynote. Those 9 months likely gave the disease time to grow, to spread, to move from treatable to much harder. The cancer came back. It metastasized. He later needed a liver transplant. And in October 2011, Steve Jobs passed away.
Good evening. I'm Steve Jobs from Apple Computer. We're very glad to be here tonight.
So what exactly killed him? A rare tumor or his mistrust of the one tool that actually had a real chance to save him? Modern medicine. I'm not here to say Steve Jobs was stupid. He obviously wasn't. He was one of the most important minds of the late 20th and early 21st century. He didn't just sell computers. He reinvented how we interact with technology. Personal computers, smartphones, digital music. He helped define all of them. He wasn't just a CEO. He was a tastemaker, a storyteller, almost a cultural architect. But here's the thing. Being a genius in one domain doesn't give you superpowers in every domain. You can't be a visionary in design and completely lost in medicine. And that, I think, is where things went horribly wrong. So where did he go wrong? For me, it comes down to one core mistake, a fundamental mistrust of science as a tool. Look, I'm not saying alternative therapies are useless. If you want to meditate, drink herbal teas, do yoga, get a massage, great. They can help you with stress, pain, mood. They can make you feel better. But when you're facing a malignant tumor, an actual biological machine that is copying itself, invading tissues, hijacking blood supply, things change. At that point, surgery, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, they're not luxury add-ons. They're the heavy artillery. Steve Jobs treated his cancer like a lifestyle problem, something you could fix with discipline and purity, instead of what it really was, a ticking biological time bomb that needed a surgeon's scalpel. He didn't trust the tool that had data behind it. He trusted stories, intuition, and vibes instead. And then there's the quote: "I didn't want my body to be opened. I didn't want to be violated that way." This bothers me a lot. Surgery is not a violation. It's an act of respect. You're literally removing the thing that is trying to kill you. You're saying, I value this person's life enough to cut out the enemy. Refusing a life-saving surgery because you want your body to stay intact start to look like a strange worship of a body that is already failing you. And here's my deeper, maybe slightly disturbing thought. I don't even think this fragile, needy body is worthy of our consciousness. It constantly needs food, sleep. It overheats, it breaks, it decays. My ideal human body is some sort of cyborg, a being that doesn't need 8 hours of sleep, that doesn't get infections because of a piece of lettuce was dirty, that doesn't spend decades slowly falling apart. So if I ever have to choose between a scar from surgery and a coffin, I'll take the scar every single time. And there's also another layer. When you've been right so many times, in so many impossible situations, like Jobs was at Apple, it's very tempting to believe that the rules don't apply to you, that you are the exception. If anyone can beat cancer in a different way, it must be you, Mr. Jobs, right? From the outside, where I stand though, his decisions looks like this. I know better than decades of oncology research, and that's not genius. That's mentally a very dangerous place to be. This isn't just about one billionaire in California making a bad call. We see this pattern every day. We see this pattern everywhere. Flat earthers, anti-vaxxers, people who escape real doctors and go straight to wellness gurus and internet shamans. And here's the scary part. If Steve Jobs, one of the greatest tech minds of our time, a man obsessed with inventions and engineering, if he couldn't fully trust the scientific consensus when his life was on the line, what does that say about the rest of us? If he can fall for magical thinking, everyone can. The real enemy here is not Eastern medicine or alternative therapies. The real enemy is our own brain, our inability to weigh evidence properly, to update our beliefs when reality disagrees, to accept that we are not special exceptions to biology. Now, I know what some of you are thinking about. Science is always changing its mind. One day egg is bad and full of cholesterol. The next day egg is the best meal. Why should I trust something that keeps changing? I get that. On the surface, that sounds unstable. But the key here is that science doesn't randomly change its mind. Science updates when new evidence appears. That's not a bug. That's the best feature of science. Think about it. When was the last time a horoscope put a rover on the planet Mars? When was the last time a shaman cured a bacterial infection without using something that came from scientific research? Science has given us antibiotics, anesthesia, MRI scanners, organ transplants, vaccines that eradicated entire diseases. These didn't appear because someone felt they were true. They appeared because people tested, measured, failed, corrected, and tried again and again. Of course, science is imperfect because it's run by humans, and humans are biased, political, messy, but compared to everything else that we've tried as a species, like intuition, superstition, pure guesswork, science is not just a bit better, it's orders of magnitude better. Furthermore, trusting science doesn't mean worshipping scientists or what they call scientism. It means betting on one method that actually changes its mind when reality proves it wrong. So again, what killed Steve Jobs? Yes, a rare tumor, but also a very human and common flaw in thinking, the desire to be special, the refusal to accept uncomfortable truth, the seductive hope that there is an easier, more magical way. One day, a doctor might tell you something serious. We need to operate. This treatment is your best chance. In that moment, please don't answer with a TikTok video, a detox program, or a psychic. Use all the meditation you want. Drink all the herbal teas. Pray, journal, breathe, but do it on top of real evidence-based treatment, not instead of it. This is the body we have, and if a scalpel can buy you 10 more years of life, that's not a violation, that's mercy. Steve Jobs changed the way we interact with technology. I just wish he had trusted technology and the science behind it enough to give himself a better chance to stay. My name is Taimur. If this video made you think, I'd be happy if you subscribe. And please, the next time your life is on the line, don't choose magical thinking.